So Rob, if you want to get started.
Hi guys, good to see you. Gareth, if I could start with you, I reckon there are 10 players that would consider themselves among your core group that you've not got available, mainly because of injury. Because of that, have you changed your plans around this camp and kind of what you want to assess over these 2 matches?
Well, you always have to adapt. We would have had definitely 10 days ago, we might have written down possible teams for the 2 games, but you never know really what's going to come your way. So we have lost more players than is normal, but there are some quite long-term injuries amidst all of that as well. So that's a big shame for the players themselves as much as anything. And then there's always opportunities for other players coming in. So in terms of the selection of the team, then we're looking at what's the right balance, what are the different qualities of the players that we can put together so that we have the best possible attacking output, but also with the right structure and balance behind that.
There are some reports today that Scotland want to draft Anthony Gordon into their ranks. We've talked to you a lot about dual nationality players and how sensitive that can be, but are you keen to send him a message right now and say you'd like him to remain patient and wait for a chance with England?
Well, yes. I mean, I would do that personally rather than with respect through you. But no, he's a good player. He was very good with our under-21s last year. He's very close, I have to say. I like his attitude. I like the way he works so hard for the team. Of course, I'm sure he was hoping to get a call at this moment, but there are good players playing well in that position on the field. But I think, like a couple of others, they've always got to think a little bit further ahead as to opportunities that can come up. And I think for somebody like Anthony, that's eminently possible with us.
Good man, thank you.
Hi Gareth. What's the messaging been this week, playing 2 teams who beat well 2 camps ago and qualified? What have you said to the players to keep the levels high?
Well, firstly, we need to win games. So not only to make sure that we're one of the top seeds next summer, but with England you always have to win matches. But then the bigger message is just around our standards every day on the training pitch. If we're to be a top team, and I think we have been consistently for quite a while, then that stems from everything you do every day, the things that nobody else sees, because we've not, well, we do have cameras watching us all the time actually in our own thing, but not externally. And you've got to have good habits every day, and there's never a day off if you're a top player. You've got to have those standards about your life all the time, not just while you're training, but when you're away from training as well. Maximise the opportunity you've got. It's a short career, so be a good professional. And we're fortunate that our senior players in particular set a great example. But we also have, like Trent alongside me, lots of young players who have great habits and who turn up in the right way for every session.
Hello. Gareth, watching England players in club football recently has been very exciting. But it's not a coincidence. You saw the vision of what could happen at England at St George's Park about identifying the talent, bringing them through, the likes of Cole going, winning the Euros, coming now into the senior camp. But then for someone that identified the sort of England player that wanted to be the DNA, there are the sceptics that don't believe you know how to play with them now they're coming through. How frustrating is that for you? And how much is tomorrow against Malta, when you need to finish top of this group to get 2 wins, an opportunity to show that?
Well, the reality of that is, however well we play tomorrow, people will just say it's a lower ranked opponent, so it will be irrelevant. I don't mind. I think what would be fair would be to say that 95% of the time we've got really good performances out of individual players, in all positions on the pitch. So, I think we have got the best out of players. I think they've enjoyed their football with us. Don't think they feel inhibited. That's never the messaging to them. So, look, people are going to have opinions. I'm probably tired of trying to fight that. In the end, it will be what it is. So I'll just let our results and performances speak for themselves. You're never going to please everybody. So the best way as a football manager is keep winning matches, frankly.
And Trent, to your left, how much has he impressed you? Because you haven't always named him in your camps. You've had some criticism for that, and now everyone is just salivating for you to name him in midfield. How much has he grown as the player I remember at the media camp ahead of Russia 2018 going, what on earth is going on here? Just sensational plaudits then, and has sort of grown and grown and grown in his career.
Well, he's always been a super player. The hard part has been in the position he plays at his club. We've got a lot of very good players, and the balance of our team has been different to the balance at his club. So what I've always felt, having even seen him with England in the junior teams, is that his technical ability is something that would translate into midfield. Of course, when we tried it before, he wasn't doing that regularly at his club, so that was a little bit more difficult to get the right sort of transition into the match. Now he is in those areas more regularly at Liverpool, and so that means it's less unusual when he's receiving in those tight areas. As Trent just said, he's still learning some of that positionally, but so are some of our midfield players, really. We know that his technical ability on the ball and his vision to see passes and then his quality to play passes is different to anybody we have in that area of the pitch. So that's what excites me about it. That's the conversation, we had sort of 6 months ago about trying to play in that position. And then it's really about just trying to do it as regularly as we can. Obviously, it's not straightforward because we're not able to do it every day of the week. And, if I was at Liverpool and he's been as productive as he has in the position he has been, then there's no reason to change what he's been doing. So with us, that's been a little bit different. But we're both excited about working that through. And it's going to be really interesting to see how it develops.
I'm only allowed 3 questions, so I have another one to ask, but hopefully later.
Paul Joyce and then Simon Page.
Gareth, you mentioned to Rob about long-term injuries in certain positions, maybe Ben, who's played two times in the last 2 years, and Luke 3 times since the World Cup. Is left-back a concern for you moving forward? And secondly, just in respect to tomorrow, these 2 games, what options do you have at left-back other than maybe Kieran?
Yeah, well, we've got centre-backs that can slide across, which is obviously you'd like to have natural full-backs, but the reality is, even if you look in the league, Dan Burn is a centre-back playing at full-back, Ben White is a centre-back playing at full-back, so teams do take those options. Germany had to do that when they won the World Cup in Brazil. Howardez played at left back. So that is an option. It of course limits or alters how you might play with the ball. You've got to find different sorts of solutions. But there are a vast number of English qualified left backs who are injured at the moment throughout the league. So we feel that the defenders that are here give us the best option of covering that at the moment. Of course, there's a couple that have played regularly that you've mentioned to come back. But there are different ways to solve those problems, and City are another team that are playing centre-backs in that area of the pitch as well. So I think only 1 in 10 people are left-handed. Presumably that's similar numbers on left-footers, so you're always going to have a slightly smaller pool. So I guess the message would be, if you're a parent, get your kid using their left foot. They've got a great chance in life.
Have you spoken to... Ben's had a particularly tough time with injuries. Do you speak to him out of camp? And
yeah, I mean, over periods of time, it's tough for players like Ben, like Reece James, who've missed a lot of football. You know, they both missed the World Cup. So for both of them, it's not a situation where it's an overload of what they've had football-wise. And of course, for us, you need players now. If we can only take 23 players next summer, then that physical robustness is a consideration, because we won't have the option to take as many chances as we took in the last couple of tournaments. You know, the last Euros, we took Calvin Phillips, who'd popped his shoulder, had a bit of time to come back in. Harry Maguire for the Euros missed the first couple of games. We're still recovering. Kyle Walker in Qatar. That's a bigger gamble next time around that we'd have to consider on each individual case. But those parameters do alter your thinking a bit on the squad.
Hi, Gareth. Will Marcus Rashford be available to start tomorrow? And do you have to speak to him about his issues at club level? He seems rejuvenated when he's here.
Yeah, I think, well, firstly, yes. I mean, he hasn't actually missed any training with us. He trained on Wednesday. We weren't able to train as a team on Tuesday. We had that many players who'd had tough games Sunday, still recovering, little injury issues, so we did minimal amount on Tuesday. So he's basically trained as much as everybody else. No, I mean, of course, we talk with all the players about how things are at their clubs, but I think he's scored 5 in 10 for us, and and he's only started 4 of those. So he's in a good vein of form. He enjoys his football with us at the moment. Of course, he's not scoring freely at the minute with club, but that will come. We're looking forward to working with him again this week.
I didn't expect to be asking about Bulgaria-Hungary tonight, but I understand that has an impact on the permutations in terms of top seed. Is it your understanding that you can get the job done near enough tomorrow in terms of top seed?
I think so, but I'd like to check it with our analysts who are better at maths than I am. So, it would look that way, but I think there'd still be a goal difference to bear in mind, or goals scored. So, yeah, I wouldn't trust me on that just yet, Simon.
And finally, it's a chance to say goodbye to Sir Bobby Charlton. Obviously, you were at the funeral on Monday, and there's been a lot of touching tributes to him, but a chance for Wembley to say goodbye.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of what we've wanted to do with our players is to talk about our identity as a team, and part of that is knowing the history of our team and having an understanding of how special some of the players that have been England internationals before are. And we've had the chance to do that this week. We showed some footage of Sir Bobby to the players the first day we arrived. A reminder that, of course, even a Liverpool man, given Sir Bobby's performances with England, can relate to his importance for English football. And you can have a fabulous club career and an international career, and at times those things can come into conflict, because club managers, of course, have got to look after their own roles and responsibilities, and that can put players in difficult positions with all international teams, frankly. But your international team will always be there as well, and if you can win something with your international team, it's probably bigger than anything else you're going to experience. So there were lots of messages within that for all of the players, but most importantly, an incredible player, an incredible man. I thought the occasion on Monday was brilliantly handled by everybody at the Cathedral and by Manchester United. We wanted to go because we think we wanted England to be represented. We hope we've been a big part of his life and his family's life, and we felt it was important to be there.
Gareth, there's a lot of competition for places, not just for the start 11, but for the squad. More recently, how tough have you found it giving players the bad news that they won't be part of the England squad?
Well, it's always difficult. I mean, in actual fact, we haven't had to make too many decisions because of injuries and pull-outs. But of course, once those injuries are back, then you've got everybody that's here now and all those other players in the frame. So there'll be more decisions to make. But that's part and parcel of being a manager. You've got to make difficult calls and difficult decisions. And I've been a player, so I know how hard that is to take that news. And as a player, you never agreed with the manager's decision to leave you out. But you can only hope that you do it as respectfully as possible. And there's got to be a clear criteria for why you're making those decisions, and clear feedback for players if there are things that you feel they need to go away and work at, for example. So yeah, we're blessed. We've got a lot of depth in certain positions, a bit less depth in others, but in certain positions on the pitch, we have got depth and very, very good players throughout.
Last for me, there's been a lot of talk about equal pay for men and women's coaches following the news that Emma Hayes is going to manage the US women's national team. Just regarding managers like Emma Hayes, how pleasing it's for you that you've got women managers like that about to get equal pay as the men in football?
Well, I think, I think equal pay for the same roles is important. There's lots of economics behind that. So, for example, if you're a CEO of a company and you're a male or a female, it should be exactly the same. I think within football, there's obviously the criteria depends on what the income is of the team. So a League One manager wouldn't get the same as a Premier League. A Premier League footballer would get more than a Championship footballer. I think with the US, their women's team has huge economic power, has had success over a long time. I think their shirt sales are one of the highest in world football. So there's probably a closer alignment between what the team generates, female team, and the men's. So whether that's translatable for clubs or other national federations, I think is an interesting debate to have, really.
Okay, we've got to get these guys to dinner, so we'll end it there. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.